It's Friday, and that means we have our regular culture segment. Joining me in the studio is our culture correspondent, Song Yoo-jin. Hi, Yoo-jin.
Great to be here, Jung-min.
So what's new this week?
Well, Jung-min, this week I want to talk about travel and tourism. And as you may know, these industries, they were really hit hard during COVID-19 due to strict travel restrictions and also border controls. But with more countries easing or scrapping these rules, we are going to see, and we're actually seeing these industries coming back to life. And one example, one data that actually proves this is the International Civil Aviation Organization's forecast that air passenger demand this year will recover to pre-pandemic levels on most routes by the first quarter. So in light of this, for this week, I decided to experience and introduce a one-of-a-kind tour around South Korea that's open to people staying in the country even for a short amount of time, even if that's a few hours. With countries around the world easing border controls and travel restrictions, airports are once again packed with excited travelers. South Korea's Incheon International Airport is no exception. Before COVID-19, the airport handled around 200,000 passengers every day. The figure dropped to as low as around 2,500 when the pandemic peaked, but now it's back up to 130,000. To cater to the growing demand, Incheon International Airport resumed its signature transit tour after a 3-year pandemic hiatus.
Transit tours allow layover passengers of Incheon International Airport to experience both modern and traditional Korean culture while they are waiting for their next flight.
And I had a chance to enjoy the world's one and only transit tour. Out of the 7 themes, I chose tradition. The tour bus carrying tourists who had booked beforehand departs from the airport and heads to its first stop, Gyeongbokgung Palace, the first and main palace of the Joseon dynasty from 1392 to 1910. An hour is enough to enjoy the epic architecture and rich history.
I think it makes the whole wait a lot more interesting and fun because other than waiting at the airport, there's not much to do. So it's a great way to see the city in a short amount of time. And then you get to catch your flight after.
The next stop is the nearby Insadong Street. Travelers can take a look around local shops, art galleries, grab a bite to eat at traditional style restaurants, and have a cup of coffee.
I've been to Asia, but I've never been to Northern Asia before, so I'm enjoying it. I like it. I like the little streets. I like the signs and the shops and stuff. It's unique and exciting. Yeah.
The last stop of the 5-hour tour, back to the airport to catch the flight. This is the end of the transit tour. There are more courses besides this one, each with its own theme, from history to shopping and even a trip to the DMZ. A vacation in Korea is one way to enjoy the country, but now a layover can be another way to experience some of the popular sights and sounds of Korea.
Yoo-jin, I just really love this concept, transit tour. It's fascinating.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. And I personally really was interested by the tour too, because as a person living in Korea, I've been to Gyeongbokgung Palace and Insadong Street numerous times, so I'm very familiar with them. But just the fact that I was departing from the airport and traveling with these tourists, many of them who've never been to Korea, so it was their first time, I really felt like I was also visiting these places for the first time as well. So it was really refreshing for me too.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't have enough time to go out of the airport but still want to enjoy a little bit of Korean culture, any other options?
Well, there are, and there is actually an option, and that's because Incheon International Airport, it's actually the first airport in the world to receive 5 stars from the Airport International Council in terms of facilities, comfort, cleanliness, shopping, staff service, anything you name it. And on the 4th floor of Terminal 1 and 2, there's an area called the K-Culture Zone exclusively for transit passengers. Visitors there can experience traditional Korean culture. For example, you can try on the traditional clothes hanbok and take pictures at a designated photo zone. You can also try out the arrow throwing game named Tuho and make bead bracelets as well. And for those who are interested, both zones are open from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. every day and are free of charge.
Thanks for the info, Yoo-jin. Our Song Yoo-jin, our culture correspondent. I'll see you next week.
See you next week.